Interesting jobs come in all varieties. Today we're highlighting our local sports anchor, Casey Butcher. Definitely fun to know. Hi everybody, and welcome to Fun to Know with Carol. If you're new here, let me introduce myself. I'm Carol Chanot, and one of the things that we like to do here is interview people who have interesting jobs. And it's my pleasure today to introduce Casey Butcher, who is the sports anchor for our local NBC affiliate for San Luis Obispo and Santa Barbara, California. So it's a pleasure to have you here. Thank you for agreeing to come, Casey.
Yeah, Carol, thanks for having me.
Yeah, so I remember, you've been at KSBY for about a year and a half, is that right? Yeah, and I remember the first time I saw you, which was probably your first week or so, your first broadcast, and I said to myself, there is a well-spoken, articulate, easy to listen to woman. I would love to get to know more about her. So, I don't know. Sports anchors sometimes can just be annoying. So
I agree.
Yeah.
I can be annoying too.
I haven't found that to be the case.
Okay, good.
So let me start out by just asking you a thing that people probably want to hear, and that is, especially if they're expecting to see a man in the sports anchor role, what has it been like for you to be in this pretty male-dominated field as a female?
Yeah, I think it's always been pretty male-dominated, but I think, times are changing and it's becoming more of a norm to see a woman talk about sports on TV, but it still is rare sometimes. But I think the biggest thing that I've, realized over the years is if you know your stuff, no one's going to be like, oh, that's a woman talking about sports, right? It's like if I'm talking about baseball and I say, a basketball term or something like that, right? Just as long as you know what you're talking about, that builds credibility. And so I think my whole life has been about sports. So I've never pictured a different life of not working in sports.
Really?
So yeah,
Wow.
So I think for me, I've never pictured anything else. I've always known I was going to be around sports.
Oh, wow. So what path did you take to get here?
So I grew up playing sports my whole life. My family loves sports so much, so that's really the thing that bonds us all together. And I grew up playing basketball, so I was very much a tomboy all the time growing up. And then when I went to college, I worked for the women's basketball team and then navigated my way into sports media and throughout my undergrad years. And then I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do in sports, but just being behind the scenes of media, I didn't love it. I really wanted to be in the action because it's kind of the closest thing you have to being an athlete. So I miss being an athlete so much. And the first time I interviewed someone or did an on-camera thing, it really drove my soul. It felt like it was exactly what I needed to be doing. So ever since, I knew that reporting was something that I wanted to do.
So what was your educational path to get here?
I did my undergrad at Texas Tech where I studied communications. And then by my senior year, I realized I actually want to be a broadcaster and I have no experience being a broadcaster. So how am I going to do that? And I found the Syracuse University broadcast program, which is very known throughout the country. A lot of my idols went there, Mike Tirico, Beth Mowins, you name it, they went to Syracuse. And so there's a one-year program, a one-year master's program. So I went and got that there and I learned so much about the industry. And then from there, I started my reporting career in Texas.
Oh, great. Great. Well, you do refer to yourself as a storyteller, and you do a great job of storytelling. What's the most interesting story you've been able to explore?
I think just looking at the Central Coast, there was an 8-year-old wakeboarder who competed at nationals that I covered who skis technically. I'm still learning the terms of the water sports, but she practices on Lake Nacimiento and then she went to nationals. So her name's Kinsey Hickey. She was the cutest, most amazing young girl. Who can do that?
Well, one local 8-year-old, Kinsey Hickey, is competing in the World Wake Surfing Championship this week, and she's turning heads across the globe.
Nothing really scares you, right, when you go out there and you're feeling confident?
No, nothing scares me.
I think also Arroyo Grande has a softball player who only has one arm, and she is amazing. So stories like that, like, young kids doing amazing things, people with, disabilities doing amazing things. A lot of good stories over here.
Yeah, I saw that video of the wakeboarder, and she was fantastic. I'll put a link in the description box so you can look at it. It really is inspiring. Yeah. So speaking of inspiring, who have been the biggest influences for you? People who have inspired you?
I think the people that inspire me the most that are in the industry, obviously a ton of women, but it's the ones who, did the grind of, going through local news and working your way up through the markets. And there are definitely people, reporters, women broadcasters in the industry that kind of just went straight to professional sports and we're at network level. And that's amazing, awesome for them. But seeing the grind of years and years and years of finally getting, to the network level and, getting those big dreams, I think is really inspiring. My mentor is Amy Lawrence, and she's a CBS Sports Radio Network host, and she went through a decade of grinding until she got to ESPN Radio and then made it to CBS. That's really, really inspiring to me just to be able to see those journeys.
So those journeys take you many places. So even as a local sports anchor, you have exposure to national events. So tell me what that's like, being with the big guys and at a national event like the Final Four or whatever.
Yeah, so I've had connections with the NCAA ever since college, just going and being a media volunteer at, regionals, Final Fours, Big 12 championships, just from networking and reaching out to people. And basically you volunteer your time and you go out and you help the media with, the NCAA or whoever's hosting the event. So at the Final Four, the NCAA asked me to just go and be a media volunteer and help out with the press and reporters. And it's just an amazing way to connect with other people in sports, and it's kind of like a family. Everyone knows everyone in sports. It's very small worlds. But yeah, I think going to those events, it definitely ignites the passion and what, sports are all about. When you go to the Superdome and you see it, 60, 70,000 people packed in this dome cheering for two teams, but at the same time, they're there for one reason, and it's for the sport that it's a way to just connect people. So I think at big events or NFL games, MLB games, it is all so special to see, but also that's also really special at local events too. When you go to, Friday night football games and it's mission prep and slow and the stands are packed and everyone is out in the town at these games, that's that same, ignite of the passion of just what sports do and how they bring people together. So I think it's a best of both worlds with, high schools and then also at the professional level too.
Yeah, oh, that's great to hear. Yeah, that I can hear the passion in your voice. Yeah, definitely. So what would you say to a young girl who's just starting out? She loves sports as well, and she's looking at you and says, I think maybe I'd like to do that too. What would your advice be?
My favorite quote is, be in pursuit and fearless of what sets your soul on fire. So if sports really is what sets your soul on fire, go for it and be fearless about it and never take no for an answer. I can't tell you how many job interviews I've had. They're like, no, 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 no. So many no's because it's the most competitive industry. Everyone wants to do it. And, there could be one little thing about an employer that they don't like about you and they won't pick you, right? Because it's your face, it's who you are, it's how you say things, it's the way you tell stories. It's so many things in this job that someone has to like about you, So I think as long as you are fully confident in who you are and the way you tell stories and the passion that you have for sports, the world is your oyster if you just keep going and just ignore the no's. I mean, one yes can change everything, even in the beginning or down the line. So I have to say, just go for it and do what you love.
Good. Yeah. Well, that's great advice for anybody. Not, just disregard the no's. Go for your passion. Exactly. Well, this has been wonderful to talk with you. And, if you know someone who is a sports fan, maybe this is the video that you could share with them so they'd get to meet Casey as well. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video and have a wonderful week ahead.